Hey guys, my name is Tara. Recently I have lost my job and had to deal with some stuff. Being bipolar, bipolar 1, it's a little difficult to explain how absolutely devastating it is when you lose your job and what kind of depression it throws you into. So, I've just been a little restless lately. The old stuff's just not getting it for me anymore. So I thought I'd give YouTube a try. Maybe see if, if I talked openly about my bipolar disorder, maybe other people wouldn't be afraid to talk about it, to try to help those who live with someone who has it, or just anyone who doesn't really understand what it's like living with it, what it's like living with somebody who has it, and just the day-to-day, trying to be a wife, trying to be a mother, just trying to be a decent person, someone who can function in society. It's hard. It's probably getting up out of the bed every morning is almost like you have to, it's like you're giving yourself a pep talk to jump out of a plane. That's kind of how it feels some days. Let me give you a little bit of backstory. I grew up in the 80s. I was born in 1980. My sister was born in 84. My mother was bipolar, and, back in the 80s, we really didn't understand what that was. We just thought she was a bitch. We would hear stuff like, wow, your mom's such a sourpuss, or she's just really not happy, or, oh my God, I can't believe your mom said that, and we would just be like, that's just how she is, man. We dealt with it. There were times that she was suicidal, and we couldn't understand why we weren't enough. Like, what had we done? And it took me 30 years to understand what she was dealing with, because when I hit 32, I lost my shit and ended up in the hospital on suicide watch for 12 hours. And, I think it was just because, my mom was not diagnosed bipolar until I was 19 and married. My sister was in high school. And, the damage was kind of already done. And, now that she's diagnosed and now that she's medicated, she's a totally different person. And I think it was just, for me, I was in such denial about it because I was not going to be that weak. I was not going to be that person who depended on medication to get me through. But then it got to a point where I kind of didn't have a choice. I was either going to go to the hospital or I was going to go to jail. Because when people talk about bipolar disorder, they talk about the manic part where you're just happy and everything's wonderful and you're on cloud nine. And then they talk about the depressive part where you can't function as a human being. You don't feel like a human being. But nobody ever talks about the rage, the horrible anger that you feel all the time. Nothing in the world can ever take that rage completely away. And all it takes is for one person to do one wrong thing, and the next thing you know, you've just exploded, and the whole house is trembling. It has been to a point where the cops have been called on me, and not just once, a couple times. And the last time the cops were called on me, one of the guys that came out, I had known for a really long time, and he said, "Tara, honey, you're a good woman, and you're a wonderful person, but if I have to come back out here, I'm going to have to take you to jail, and I don't want to have to do that." And so I went home, because I had actually went to someone else's house to beat the hell out of them. So I went home, and I sat on my porch, and I literally cried for hours. My whole family was out on the porch with me. All of them was basically my intervention, and they all was like, honey, you need some help. And it's okay to go to the hospital when you need help. So my mother-in-law got me in the car, and she took me to the hospital. And I got there around 3 o'clock, and it was just the oddest thing I have ever encountered in myself, because I walked through the door and I was fine, and as soon as the lady behind the desk asked me why I was there, I just burst into tears, and the only thing I could say was, I don't know what's wrong with me, I need some help. And she just patted my hand, you know, really nice, and she said, honey, it's okay, we're going to help you. And they took me immediately back. They took me into a room and made me get undressed, and I had to squat and cough just so they could make sure I wasn't carrying nothing in my hoo-ha. And then I had to put on a gown, and they put me in another room. And it wasn't 2 minutes later that a lady with a desk came and sat right outside my door. And I asked her why she was there, and she said, I'm here to make sure that you're not going to hurt yourself or hurt anyone else. And I was like, okay, wow, I'm on suicide watch. I was there from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until almost midnight. I had to wait for the crisis unit to get there. And around 9 o'clock that night, you know, the crisis had passed. It was so funny. Every time a doctor or a nurse would come in and ask me if I was okay, I would just immediately burst into tears. And, you know, it was almost funny because you could literally just see them, like, throwing their hands up and very slowly backing away. So anyway, about 9 o'clock that night, the crisis had passed, and I wanted to go home because I'm like, okay, I've been here long enough. And, you know, I asked the nurse if I could go home, and she said, hold on, let me go check. And then the next thing I know, there's a police officer in my room, and he says, Miss Hill, I hear you're wanting to go home. And I said, yeah, I've been here all day, and it doesn't look like the crisis unit's going to get here anytime soon. I'm just ready to go home. And he said, Miss Hill, I have papers here that say that you are a danger to yourself and others, and I can't let you go home until the crisis unit gets here and releases you. And so I was like, okay. So I sat there, and the crisis unit got there around 11:30, and the lady came and talked to me, and she, you know, and she's asking me all these questions, and I'm telling her everything that I, you know, could think to tell her. And she says, you have two options. You can go to the hospital and be admitted into the hospital right now tonight if you feel that that's what you need to do. She said, but if you feel that the crisis has already passed and that you're okay for now, this is the place that you need to go and set you up an appointment to see somebody. She said, I really, really think that you have some mental issues going on there that you need to be diagnosed. And I was thinking to myself, I have 3 children, and I have a husband, and I have a mother that I have to take care of, and I can't go to the hospital for days at a time over something like this, basically because at the time I still thought it was a weakness, that I was a weak person, that I was weak-minded. And so I said, you know what, I will just, you know, go to the doctor or whatever. Long story short, I was diagnosed bipolar 1, which basically means that I'm completely and 110% batshit crazy. Most people with my condition can't hold down a job. They lose their children. They lose their relationships. It's just that they're a mess. They even ask me every time I go if I'm hearing voices that no one else can hear and seeing things that no one else can see. And I'm like, I don't fucking think so, but if I was, would I know it? Because, you know, they say if you're crazy, you don't know it. So I just wanted to start off. This is my first video. I'm going to be doing a lot more if I get enough people who like to watch it, enough people who want to know what it's like to live with this. There's going to be days where it's going to be very raw and it's going to be very ugly. I'm going to show you the days where I can't get up out of the bed. The days where I'm screaming at everybody in my house, even the cats. But I'm not just going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about a lot of other things. Some of it's going to be fun. Some of it's going to be funny. I didn't even really think about doing YouTube videos. I mean, I'm 37 years old, and, you know, that's kind of a younger person thing, but my 15-year-old daughter got me to watching YouTube videos, and can I just say, I heart Shane Dawson. He's awesome. And so I thought to myself that would be a wonderful way to reach a lot of people. So if you liked the video, let me know, and I will do more. But I just want to leave saying this. There are going to be days that you feel that you can't do it, that you just can't do that day. Nothing about the day is working right for you, that your children deserve better, that your husband deserves better, that you just can't be a person. You feel not human. And it's okay. It's okay. Your children love you, and your spouse loves you. If they didn't, they wouldn't stick around. It's okay to need help. It's okay to talk to somebody. It doesn't make you weak. Actually, it makes you strong, because you can admit that you have a problem. And you can admit that you need help. And if you feel yourself slipping to a point where you don't feel like you can ever come out, please get help. There have been so many of my friends, so many people in the media now who are dealing with this. And if somebody had just reached out to them and helped them, it would have been, maybe it would have ended differently. So get help if you need help. If you need someone to talk to and you feel that nobody will listen, that nobody will understand, I will listen and I will understand. And if I can't help you, I can try to help you find someone who can. It's not hopeless. And you're going to be okay. And it's all going to be okay. So, I love you guys. This is the end of my video. Please let me know how you feel about it. There will be more to come. And y'all have a good night.